to think about a dream. Whatever dream that is, I want you to invest in that dream. I want you to believe in that dream. I want you to dare to do that dream. And if you dare, you'll be able to do. This is your moment to be present in your dream. I love you guys. Leave it on the deck.
Hi APTC, my name is Anna King. I am a 2020 graduate of Marymount Manhattan College's Musical Theater BFA program, although it's a weird circumstance in which I'm graduating, thanks Corona, but I'm still graduating. I'm a PA, New York, New Jersey regional performer as well as musician, and I'm just really excited to kind of share the newest and most up-to-date information I can give in regards to what your audition book should look like. Great, so today I'm going to be using my audition book as kind of like a model and just to demonstrate what exactly I mean and what I'm talking about. And I have to preface this whole thing by saying, obviously, everyone can have a little bit of a different version of what I'm talking about. And I will say I have seen people walk into audition rooms with like pieces of paper and notebook and not looking prepared at all. But I also could tell that they were a very talented individual and like maybe they got the job, you know, I don't know. So with all this being said, like this is not necessarily going to get you the job. It's not like the one-way ticket. There's never anything like that in theater. And it's not the thing saying like this is the only way to do it, but I can tell you that this is information from accompanists themselves and music directors and directors themselves saying this is like the ideal of what we're looking for these days. And I'll also say we have to understand that like audition books in general, it's like our gift to the accompanist in the room. It's our gift to the person who's sitting at the piano for like 6 hours or more a day, playing pages and pages of music that might be hard for them to read and things like that. And so this is just a gift that you can give in the audition room saying like, I respect you and your time, please play my music for me. So that's really what the whole audition book is. It's not necessarily like there's a one-way ticket to Broadway. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. But it is just a way to be respectful and understanding of those around you and the other jobs that are in the room, not just you trying to get a job. Let's get started just with the surface of the book itself. Okay, this is a binder. This is a 3-ring binder. This is an inch-long 3-ring binder. I think that might be one of the easiest rules to adhere by, but you don't want one of those like massively thick audition books. It's not helpful. Having a book filled with 50 different songs, that is a vocal rep book that you can have for your voice lessons or like vocal coaching sessions. That's not an audition book. Whatever you have, solid color is best. And if you want to pick like a fun color that's like representative of you, that's fun. That's fine. Whatever, go for it. But you want a solid binder. Now, I will say, typically in an audition book, you want to have something that's indicative of like who you are on the front. Some people put a resume, some people put a headshot. I usually have a headshot. So then, you open the audition book. Ideally, what you have next is your headshot and resume inside the folder. It's very important to have your headshot and resume in your folder at all times. Resume. Okay, I keep a bunch of resumes in here. I'll get to the reason why, but it's usually good to have like 5. So at every audition you go through, you clip them together and cut off the excess, right? That's great. But then what's fantastic if you keep a bunch in your folder is that you then have this resume just like sitting here in the pocket. That's nice for when you go in the audition room and you open your binder and it's on the the piano, and you go to your song, you sing your song, and then maybe after that you're talking to the people at the table and they're asking you questions, and the person at the piano is like, I'm so bored, I have been here all day, well, what am I gonna do? And they read your resume. Okay, so then going through your book, ideally you have 4, maybe 5 categories of music. First, I have a traditional tab. That's standard or traditional or standard tab. That's very normal to have at the beginning, like chronologically There's traditional music, and there's contemporary music, and then there's pop rock. Normally that's how people do it. If you're more of a pop rock person and like you only go in for those calls, maybe just make that your first tab because like that's easy. So the traditional tab is my first one, and then I have contemporary pop rock, and then usually at the end you want to have a specialty tab. So let's say you are an amazing opera singer, you're like a trained, gorgeous soprano, and that's something you want to feature at like some random auditions, they might ask for that. Have a tab labeled opera and have some arias, something like that. Or if you are a jazz singer and maybe there's a reason that you go to some call and they're like, hey, can you sing some jazz for us? Like, I think that would be phenomenal for you to keep in mind. I personally have a tab that's country folk because I go in for auditions like as a fiddler and a singer and they want to see that. So I have like that, but that's my specialty tab. I don't have as many songs in there. Very, very normal to have like something extra, and also to have an extra tab shows that like, oh, I do this stuff, like I sing musical theater, whatever, but I also have a life where I also like other music. And now if you look at musicals and just like how innovative and unique so many of them are now, the contemporary musical theater sound has been transferred to other genres. So you're seeing a lot more pop, rock, even folk and country, and those kinds of shows are much more popular. So I really, 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 really encourage you to invest in the pop, rock, folk, jazz, that other section, other than just the traditional and contemporary. You shouldn't really have more than 15 songs in your book. And 15 is even kind of a lot. I have 12 songs in my book. I have 4 traditional, about 3 contemporary, 3 pop rock, and then like 2 country folk. Keep that in mind. If it's in your book, you need to know it. You need to know the songs and you need to be very familiar with your work. That's kind of the general like book, kind of like the overview. I will also say some fun optional things. These dividers and tabs. Tabs are very important. Fun dividers, optional. I want to break down what your book should look like in terms of cuts. You really ideally should have 2 copies of every song. One is marked up with your traditional 16 bar or 32 bar cut of the song. It's marked in pencil and very clearly written. And then the other one is just kind of an untouched copy in case randomly they're like, okay, I want to go through and you sing this whole song for me. I also want to show just how to kind of break a cut in your music and make it as easy for the accompanist to find as possible. So I have this paper clip here so that when I turn the page easily, it goes right to where my cut is. This is helpful for the accompanist to be able to just easily turn a page. Like, let's say I have another cut that I'm also singing and then I'm singing this one. Like, that way they don't have to flip through 1,000 pages because the song is like very thick. There's a lot of pages at the beginning. So you open it up, your cut should be very easy. Ideally, if the cut is only 2 pages, you want it to be the 2 pages here. If it's a 2-page cut, you shouldn't have them flipping pages at all. But this song for me is actually a 3-page cut. So I have it like mapped out here that they flip the page and then the last 2 pages are here. So they only have to flip the page once. So if it's 3-page cut, understandable. But if it's 2 pages, you want it like just here's play, play. You don't really want a page turn. I also do the accompanist just like a little bit of a favor because I have them turning this page and the cut does not start at the beginning of the song, which most cuts don't. I have the title written at the top for them, and then I labeled it like this is the cut so they know like which song's what. This is the song. I have the key just to remind them like it's in this key because they can't look at the beginning, and if they don't want to like figure it out right here, they can look and see that cut. Also, I marked out an intro. It's important to have, if you have intros, they have to be clearly marked. And you want to mark where you start singing and also where before that you want the piano to begin. Honestly, intros are very important and it shows that you are professional and you know how to have an accompanist start first and then kind of jam with them almost. Have that clearly marked. And the ending should also be very clearly marked and like in big bold letters. That should be very easy for them to find. So the goal is making things as easy as possible. The amount of effort you put into your book often tells the auditioners this person puts effort into their craft. And the goal is you always just want to put your best foot forward, show your best self. That's what I found is really helpful with prepping an audition book.
Hey APTC, my name is Patti, and I am a former APTC student. I also serve as the Artistic Associate for Theater Untitled. I am a senior theater performance major at Wagner College in New York, and today I'm going to kind of piggyback off of all the wonderful insight that Anna had and take a bit more of a deeper dive at the songs and how to find them to put in your rep book. So Anna mentioned a couple of the categories. I'm going to go into a couple of different ones, especially in the pop rock world, and kind of break those down. But for the most part, you should have a golden age, I'm going to call the middle period between golden age and contemporary classic or post-golden age. So if you hear me say that, I'm talking about that kind of middle period between the mid-1960s to the 1990s. And then for golden age, I'll be talking about early mid-1940s to early 1960s. There's some discrepancy on like the actual date that it switched, but around 1963, 1964. And then for contemporary musical theater, I'll be talking about 2000 to 2020. So anything within the last 20 years, preferably within the last 10. It depends if they have specific requirements or not, but there is some leeway, as everything has some leeway. And then of course, contemporary pop rock. We're going to look a little bit at that, and we're also going to look at the whole pop rock canon of music and what does that even mean? Because you hear pop rock and you're like, pop rock, there's so much more to it, and we're going to break that down. So let's start at the beginning of what I think you should have, and Anna touched on it a little bit, standards. Now, what is a standard? These are your 1920s era songs. These are your Cole Porter, your Irving Berlin. My song is by Ella Fitzgerald, and if you're thinking, Drew, that's a girl song and you're not a girl. Yes, you can do that. Because standards were kind of everybody's song. You know, anyone could sing them. And that was kind of the appeal, that there were these songs and everyone was doing their own covers and renditions of them. So my song is actually by Cole Porter, but I do the Ella Fitzgerald key because it fits in my voice, surprisingly enough. Then let's move to the Golden Age. So this is your Rodgers and Hammerstein. This is your Oklahoma and your Carousel and your South Pacific. I have two songs in my Golden Age category. I have an up-tempo and a ballad. For the most part, a lot of these categories should have an up-tempo and a ballad, because sometimes that's all they'll ask for is 32-bar up-tempo Golden Age. And then you go to your 30-bar, your up-tempo Golden Age 32-bar cut, that Anna showed you how to make, and you're ready to go. In having songs, you should find a nice balance of known songs and lesser done songs. An example of that, this isn't in my book, but an example of that is if you had a song from Newsies and you're a tenor, they're gonna expect that you're gonna sing Santa Fe. So maybe find a different song that you can make a cut out of, and they might be more pleasantly surprised when you say Newsies and they go Santa Fe, and you go, no, I'm actually going to be singing the intro to Seize the Day. They'll be like, oh, okay. So something like that. So for Golden Age, I have a song from My Fair Lady. It's pretty well known. And then I have a song from She Loves Me that people might not know because it was cut early on in the process. Cut songs are kind of the secret gems that you should look for, and there's a lot of places that you can find it. There's a whole like anthology of just Sondheim songs, and they'll say cut from Forum or cut from Assassins. That's a great tool that you can use for that. Let's switch over to the post-Golden Age contemporary classic realm, and this is the era of, mid-1960s to 1990s, and this is like the peak of mega musicals. So this is your Phantom of the Opera, your Les Mis, your Jesus Christ Superstar, all the big Andrew Lloyd Webber and other, big spectacle shows. Contemporary musical theater is the now, the songs of now. Dear Evan Hansen, it is your Beetlejuice, it is your Mean Girls, it is all the stuff that is on Broadway right now. So I happen to have 4 contemporary songs in my book. It's always nice to, have something that you can adapt into whatever the people at the table ask of you. Don't do what people have heard thousands and thousands and thousands of times today, maybe thousands of times 10 years ago, because they'll know it, and if they liked it but it was too overdone, bringing it back and kind of having that reaction of, oh, I remember this song, this is so good, oh, I love this song, I'm so glad that you did that. That's a nice reaction that you want the table to have. Pop rock is kind of all the songs that are in regular mainstream music, all the genres, but throughout the decades. So pop rock genres are kind of classified by decade, and there is a huge, greatly beneficial resource called Rock the Audition. It's by Sherry Sanders. It's a book. She also has a website and a kind of page on Music Notes, which is another great resource you can use. And but Rock the Audition, the book, goes through the decades and the style of music, and it actually tells you what you should, what you should wear, what you should feel, different attributes of your voice that mirror the songs of the time. And there's even like a history of what was happening, so you can really get a sense of the person that sung the song originally and wrote the song originally, what they were feeling, and you can bring that feeling and essence into your performance, and it makes it all the more magical. There's also specialty songs that Anna kind of touched on. These are kind of songs that you do really, really well. A couple of specialties are, as Anna said, an aria or opera. A patter song is a special musical trait that a lot of the older shows follow, and even some of the contemporary, because of rap, which is also a specialty. And I have a rap song in my book. I have a Mac Miller song in my audition book, and I've used it a lot recently, and I've gotten such good feedback from it. So if you think that you have a specialty, or you think that you have a different specialty that I didn't mention, or that you think is special, put it in your book, because who knows, people might ask you for something crazy. One of the biggest things you can do is have a conversation with the people at the table, and they get a gist of who you are as a person and your personality. You're probably thinking, Drew, this is so much music. That's so many things you just gave me. Luckily, a lot of these songs cross over in terms of their musical influence and their musical style. If you are a less musically informed person, you can Google. Google's your friend forever and always. And even musicnotes.com will, especially under Sherry Sanders' tab, it'll have, not only will it give you pre-made audition cuts for you, which is awesome, but it'll give you the genre and how many you could use them for, in terms of, oh, well, this song is like a pop song, but it has like some R&B and some rap. You can use that for any of those asks. And I think crossover songs, like Anna said, so you don't have 15, 20, 30 songs in your book. Crossover songs will be your friend. And you're also probably thinking, Drew, there's so many songs in the world and I don't know that many songs. Luckily, there are some resources for you. For Golden Age and older stuff, you might just have to go and listen. My teacher suggested to me that you should just be having Spotify on all the time and listen to everything that you can listen to. For older stuff, luckily through our APTC theater history curriculum, you will learn some of the older songs, which is awesome and so beneficial. I highly recommend, if you have not looked at the APTC online curriculum, go check it out. It has great information from super brilliant people in the industry now, and it is so beneficial, and it'll save you some time in trying to search on yourself or search for things by yourself. Let us help you. We want to help you. And then but for contemporary, there are some more options. A professor of mine, I don't think he'll mind if I give him some credit right now, runs a website with other amazing creators. It's called contemporarymusicaltheater.com, and they have a whole list of contemporary writers that you probably have never heard of because they're still up and coming. But it is great music, and the best part about that website is the proceeds go to those writers personally, because they're still, we're all working and trying to make a living, and that website is awesome. So check that out. He also has a WordPress kind of blog about contemporary and the different styles, which is super beneficial. So check that out for sure. And rock the audition, like I said. Go down that path and see how it works out for you. And before you'll know it, you have a rep book that is full and ready to go and ready to tackle any audition that comes your way. I hope that Anna and I could give you a bunch of information and a bunch of tips. Be sure to check out other teaching videos that APTC has online. I encourage you to learn the most you can, because it's a business where you never stop learning.